reasons college costs have exploded. Tim is the national political reporter for the Evans-Novak Political Report, an editor at Regnery Publishing, and a columnist for the Washington Examiner. Tim's book, The Big Ripoff, How Big Business and Big Government Steal Your Money, was awarded the Lysander Spooner Award as 2006 Best Book on Liberty by Laissez-Faire Books. Formerly, he was a Warren Brooks Journalism Fellow at the Competitive Enterprise Institute and a Phillips Foundation Fellow as well. He worked for columnist Robert Novak and at Human Events magazine. 4 years ago, Tim was my supervisor while I was interning with Robert Novak. It was a delight for me to glean from him, for he's a lucid writer, and as you'll see today, he's an honest thinker. Let's welcome Tim.
Thank you all for coming today, and welcome to what CNN Money has called the most expensive college in America. And if you look around yourself, you might start to see some of the reasons why. The very impressive buildings, very expensive real estate, very high-tech technology. And just keep this thought in the back of your mind as I'm talking today. How much of the money spent here, how much of the money spent on your campus really relates directly to your learning? And this will all start to make more sense when you think about some of the economics of this. Jason mentioned the title of my book, and it involved big business stealing your money, as well as big government. Lest you think that there's any disagreements between me and the previous speaker, whose work I really admire, I want to give you a quote from Ronald Reagan. He said, "The inescapable truth is this: government does not have all the answers. In too many instances, government does not solve problems, it subsidizes them." And so this is a very important thought to guide your thinking whenever you're talking about economic issues, we're talking about social problems. Because as Jason said, when people see college tuition rising, the initial reaction in this town is always, what can the government do to solve this problem? And when the last speaker was talking about the hatred of big business, oh, why are gasoline prices so high? Well, A, business has to be doing something evil, and my point is that half the time they are, but B, we need the government to stop them. But the truth is that the Ronald Reagan answer to this is, when we see a problem, don't ask, how can the government solve it? Our first question should always be, how is the government contributing to this problem? And what can we do to get the government out of the way in that problem? So when it comes to the cost of colleges, this is another situation where we have what's basically a big business, which is Rush Limbaugh just on Friday started using the term big college. I think that's an apt term. And we have big government. And when they get together, often some students will win, all taxpayers will lose, and many students will lose as well. From 2002 to 2004, the tuition at four-year state schools went up 26%. Every year since 1982, tuition has increased at a higher rate than inflation. In 1983, all sources of student aid, federal, state, private, $28.4 billion. That's a lot of money in 1983. In 2003, just federal financial aid added up to $122 billion. So that's almost a five-fold increase, and that's just counting the federal aid. And so I found a great headline the other day in an Oklahoma paper that said, costs continue to rise despite increased government aid. And anytime you see an article about economics that has the word despite in it and relates some sort of surprising cause-effect thing in the mainstream media, it's always worth a read because they'll always show their bad economics. It's sort of every year you get these articles, despite increasing prison populations, crime is falling, or the opposite of prison populations are low, but somehow crime is going up. I don't understand. Economics, it's always the same way. And what's at play here in college costs is very much the same thing that's at play in the healthcare industry. So it's, the simple term is the third-party payer